Let's wait for the rest of the room to fill up. Hope y'all are having a great day. Let's give like maybe 2-3 more minutes. All right, we should be good to start. Good evening and good morning, Unicorn fam. Welcome to the Crypto Unicorns bi-weekly Town Hall number 36. This is Sparkly Unicorn with Stealthy Unicorn on Tech. For those not in the know, Town Hall events will now happen bi-weekly instead of weekly. We do have some special events every now and then, so please stay tuned for them. Half of the town hall events will be handled by Aaron, as usual, who is amazing at letting us visualize the long term of CU. The other half of town hall events will be handled by members of the internal team who can provide deeper knowledge in specific things such as game design and game economy. In all other aspects, the town hall will be in a similar format as the ones we have previously held. This is our 36th town hall event. Let's introduce who we have on stage for today. We have Rice, LG Jeff, and Corbin Laguna. They're here to say hi, share updates, and answer questions. Let's have a quick introduction before we go straight to the meat of things.
Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm part of design at Laguna Games.
Hi, I'm Corbin. I'm a product manager here at Laguna.
Hi, I'm Rice. I am the executive producer for external projects.
All right, thank you so much. So for all of y'all who are Shadow Corn holders, you already know what's coming up. So our Shadow Corn holders had an exclusive sneak peek to this roadmap last week. But now the rest of the Unicorn fam can share this information as well. So we have LG Jeff on the slides and Corbin Laguna. And after that, Bryce will follow up on second party updates. Let's listen in.
Hello, everyone. Like what was said before, a lot of this for Shadowcorn holders, if you saw last week's sneak peek, not much has changed. But even though it's the Shadowcorn roadmap, there's a lot of implications for Unicorn holders as well. So let's dive in. Before we go through all the features we have planned, we wanted to kind of outline what our principles and goals were for the features we plan on designing. Firstly, because there's only 3,000 Shadowcorns, we don't want to make the Shadowcorn aspect of what we're building too onerous in terms of activities. So Shadowcorns largely will be more passive in their gameplay. That said, what gameplay we do build for Shadowcorns will be very rewarding. So even though we're going to try and make it so that Shadowcorn holders don't have to spend a lot of time playing, we want the time that they do play to be rewarding for their engagement. Also, as we're trying to tighten up our token supplies, we have less freedom to use tokens as rewards. So we're moving away from that and more for increasing permanent utility in terms of bonuses that will help you in various parts of the game and allow you to specialize. And that will be a big part of our reward structure for the roadmap. And then Finally, like elsewhere in the game, we want to create deep economic loops that could keep players motivated over several years. So these are our guiding principles, and let's go forward. There's really 4 kind of phases for the roadmap. Some is Shadowcorn only, some is Unicorn only, and some is both. The first phase is the minion hatchery. This is for Shadowcorns only, and this is basically where Shadowcorns can passively produce a bunch of things: husks, which are used for minions, Unim, and Dark Marks. This will be the main passive part of the Shadowcorn experience. Then, and that is completely web and on chain. Then the next phase is Battle for the Dark Forest, formerly known as Act 2. When thinking about Act 2 and Act 3, we decided we wanted them not to be events, but more like permanent features as part of the Crypto Unicorns ecosystem. So we're renaming them to Battle for the Dark Forest and Tribe Rifts. In Battle for the Dark Forest, unicorns and minions battle for Unim and Rift crystals, and that will take place on web and on chain. After that is out, then we will focus more on some in-game stuff, including tribes and specializations. And this is the unicorns only for the most part. Tribes will collectively allow players to improve their own land production and unicorn performance in various game modes, as well as be social, get together with a bunch of other players, build a beautiful space for your lands to kind of live on, and unlock permanent bonuses. And then the final phase, once that's out, the final phase of the current roadmap is what we're calling Tribe Rifts. And that's when Shadowcorns can send minions into tribes and try and steal from tribes, and tribes have to battle minions to prevent Shadowcorns from taking what the tribes have earned. And at this phase, we will start offering items that you could use to not only help improve your Shadowcorn stats, but you could also improve your Unicorn stats at this point. So it'll be a very important time for the game once we get there. So let's jump into some of these features. The first is the minion hatchery. The lore-wise, because the Shadowcorns cannot grow in number, but they need to expand their army, they've learned how to create these minions of the same dark energy that permeates the Shadowcorns. And so they've constructed a huge structure to help them try and create their dark army. The hatchery will have 3 main sort of loops. One is husk production, where Shadowcorns could be staked to earn husks, Unim, and Dark Marks over time. The second is minion production, where they could take the husks that they've created and construct craft minions based on various crafting recipes. And then finally, they could upgrade the hatchery to receive bonuses to production and unlock recipes and other great things. Husk production, like I said before, it's very passive. You stake your Shadowcorn, it produces husks over time based on the quality of that Shadowcorn, and then you come back and collect them. Several things will go into how good a Shadowcorn is at producing husks. It's based on its stats, rarity, class, and minion hatchery bonuses. So the better Shadowcorn you have, the better your husk production is going to be. So we really want to reward quality there. And these are some of the minions that are in the works. Our art team has hit it out of the park again. These are tier 1 minions, 1 for each Shadowcorn class. And when the hatchery launches, it's only tier 1 minions that will be available to be crafted, but higher tier minions are in the works as we're speaking. And so these are going to be the cute but evil minions that unicorns will have to battle in Battle for the Dark Forest. For Shadowcorn loot boxes that have been given out, think of these as kind of a speed up of production. They're going to contain husks and even chances of minions. So if you are suddenly out of minions and you need a lot more, getting some Shadowcorn loot boxes and opening them up is a great way to kind of fill your minion army or give you enough materials to produce a lot of minions. And, because there's only 3,000 Shadowcorns and, we're having a scaling unicorn population, we understand, it's going to be hard to balance on the population side. Our contingency plan is to make top tier minions kind of like a poor man's Shadowcorn, where they may have some of the functionality of a Shadowcorn, particularly when it comes to active gameplay, but they won't have other functionality, like they won't be able to produce husks or anything. We're still, haven't defined exactly how to use this, but this is a backup plan to try to help population control should that pose a problem as we roll out these features. And that leads us into the second phase, Battle for the Dark Forest, formerly known as Act 2. And this is both Shadowcorns and Unicorns, and it is on web and on chain. So at this point, this rift energy has kind of started permeating from the Dark Forest. These rift crystals are appearing, and they contain a bunch of power within them. And this is kind of guiding our storytelling into the next phase. And just as a separate point, like a lot of this lore and some of the terminology, we want community input on that. And so we're going to be getting feedback as to what the lore might be, what certain names might be. Once we have finalized art and more things that we would love to get input on that. So like I said before, there's both a unicorn and a Shadowcorn component on this. And going back to our principle of not making it too active for Shadowcorn holders, the Shadowcorn part will be a lot less active, and Unicorn part will be a lot more active to try and balance kind of the different play styles for Unicorn holders and Shadowcorn holders. So in Battle for the Dark Forest, Unicorns will form squads and enter the Dark Forest, and Shadowcorns will send minion squads. We are still developing or designing the mechanics for this. We do want it to be more strategic, more active, less RNG based. So we are designing a gameplay loop for this. It is not 100% nailed down, but we will share details about the gameplay once it's there. Yeah, the idea is that your Unicorn squads will enter the Dark Forest and fight with minion squads. So this will be the first time in the game where Unicorns will have a chance to die. Minions will almost certainly be killed, but minions are meant to die more frequently than Unicorns. Unicorns will have a small chance to die while in the Dark Forest, but even then, we want to give players some control over which Unicorn dies. So when you form and if one of your Unicorns is going to die, it's always going to be the lowest stat Unicorn. So it's that old adage, if you're running away from minions, you don't need to be the fastest Unicorn. You just have to be faster than the Unicorn next to you. And so in this case, you can control which Unicorn you lose based on the stats of the Unicorns you choose to put in your Unicorn squad. And then when a Unicorn is killed, both the Shadowcorn holder who owned the minions that defeated the Unicorns and the Unicorn holder of the Unicorn that died will split a new resource that we're calling Soul Power. So both sides will get this new resource when a Unicorn is killed, and this resource will be used in many loops that we'll discuss in a bit. It is also around this time that unicorn milk has gone missing. The Shadowcorns begin to siphon unicorn milk from unicorn holders and begin splitting it amongst themselves. And for the Shadowcorn holders, their share of the unicorn milk that they steal from unicorns will be split based on the number of rift crystals that they own. And this is kind of their way of earning Unum on top of what they produce at the minion hatchery, and some of the Unum that gets siphoned will be lost as well. It's just what happens when Unum gets stolen. Some of it gets burned, and this will also help us control the Unum supply in the ecosystem. So we talked about rift crystals a bit. For Shadowcorns, like I just said, the more rift crystals Shadowcorns hold, the greater the share of the stolen Unum they will receive. Tribe rifts come online, rift crystals will have a different function there. But between Battle for the Dark Forest and tribe rifts, rift crystals control how much Unum Shadowcorn holders will get from stealing Unum. Unicorns, they have a different use for rift crystals. Unicorn holders will earn rift crystals by participating in the Dark Forest, and they will be able to initially use these rift crystals to craft tribe materials and improve tribe buildings. And this will be the primary use until we have player skill specializations come online. And the idea is that with tribes, you'll have certain permanent bonuses that you get by being part of a tribe. And so having rift crystals being necessary to upgrade a tribe building is going to help you get more permanent utility for various gameplay loops. And with that, I will hand it over to Corbin to talk about tribes and specialization, our third phase of the roadmap.
Yeah, so now that we've covered what's in store for Shadowcorns, let's dive into tribes. So tribes, let's take a step back and address, the main goal of tribes, which is to give players the ability to bond together, explore each other's farm operations and work together to achieve a common set of goals. Through the coordination, decision making, and the general aspect of exploring a neighbor's farm, we believe that tribes will fulfill the social aspect of CU, which has largely been missing from the core game. It'll be a very powerful feature for years to come. One of the first decision-making aspects will be, what kind of totems does the tribe want, and where will the tribe place them to maximize their effectiveness? Will tribes stack totems, around the high-level players, or will they spread them out throughout the tribe to ensure each member has an equal buff applied? Ultimately, it will be up to the tribe to make that decision. To obtain a totem, the tribe will need to work together to acquire needed resources. While some of the resources will be able to craft by converting player resources into tribe resources, the higher level totems will require rift crystals, which will only come from the Shadowcorn game loops. In addition to totems, we also have tribe research, which will allow tribes to partake and decide which bonus path they want to pursue and work together the items needed to work their way up the tree. Does the tribe pride themselves on being the best jousting tribe, or are they more focused on resource production? Ultimately, tribe research will be one of the many means for tribes to distinguish themselves from other tribes by increasing their effect or efficiency in certain game loops. In addition to tribe research, the tribe treasury is going to be at the forefront of every tribe. The tribe treasury will hold the RBW, Unum, and soft currencies owned by that tribe. And the higher the level, the more you can store, and then also the more of the resources that are protected from Shadowcorn raids. So how does the treasury get funded? Unum and RBW will be subject to a small tax, currently targeted for 1%, from players. So if you sell to the RMP or you gather 1% of that will go to the tribe to be able to fund tribe operations. And then in terms of soft currency, whenever an item is collected from the tribe workshop, it'll be automatically sent to the tribe treasury and be able to be used for research or crafting by one of the tribe officers. So lastly, so far we have tribe totems, we have tribe research. The other bonus system we'll be having will be player specialization. So this will allow players to use skill gems, the name is still to be determined there, to increase their effectiveness or efficiency in certain game loops. I imagine some players will want to be, the best they can possibly be at jousting, while some players will be focused on, increasing their ability to craft or gather. Ultimately, a tribe's going to require players of all profiles to succeed, so they'll want a healthy composition of all players and all different types of play style. Just to reemphasize why we believe player specialization will be a much sought after feature is, following the launch of Crypto Unicorns, which was just about a year ago, still crazy to think about, players immediately began seeking to improve their farm bonuses through rerolls. The way to do this at the time was to place a building, upgrade the building, check for bonuses. If the bonuses didn't match your specification, you would delete that building and then rinse and repeat until you got, +3 or +4 area output, at which you would continue to upgrade that further. A couple days after launch, we hit 62,000 building destroyed events, which is absolutely crazy. So feeding off of that same energy, the player specialization feature will provide permanent bonuses outside of the farm. So you'll be able to have bonuses in crafting, jousting, and gathering. So it's going to be really cool to see that. And obviously, to obtain these bonuses, you will need to go head to head against the scary Shadowcorns in the Shadowcorn game loops.
Okay, thank you, Corbin. So that once tribes and specialization are out, we're entering into the fourth and final phase of the current Shadowcorn roadmap. This is not to suggest that this is all that there's going to be, but this will be the current roadmap that we're going to work towards. But that will lead us into tribe rifts as the final phase, and this is both web and on-chain for the Shadowcorn part, and in the core game for unicorns. The lore here is, after getting enough rift crystals from the Dark Forest, Shadowcorns are able to open rifts into tribes and send their minions to try and steal what the tribes have earned, and it's the tribe's responsibility to get their members together and form unicorn squads and defeat the Shadowcorn minion squads that are invading them. So in this in this mode, Shadowcorns will use rift crystals to open rifts into tribes. We haven't locked down all the mechanics since this is the the farthest feature on the roadmap, but the idea is Shadowcorn holders will have some control in which tribes they want to target to open rifts, and which minions they want to send into the tribe. And in this loop, besides soul power, which we talked about, players get when a unicorn is killed, we're going to have other resources here that will be useful to improve both Shadowcorn and unicorn stats, which will be the main driver in this loop. As I said before, when a rift is open, minions will appear in the tribe land. Players will need to use unicorn squads to defeat them, and then work to close the rift itself to end the current invasion on the tribe land. This is a feature that we're putting control of when this happens into the hands of the Shadowcorn holders. It's not something that, it's not like an event that we're going to set a time to where it starts and ends. It starts when Shadowcorn holders have enough rift crystals to open rifts and choose to do so, and it ends when unicorn holders defeat the minions and close the rifts. So it is kind of a user generated content for each other that we're excited to see in game. So Shadowcorn holders, they'll have to try and decide, do they go for the stronger tribes that have more things to steal but may provide better defenses, or do they go for tribes that they could invade for longer but maybe don't have as much to take? We will have protections in place to ensure that no tribe is attacked to the point where they just can't do anything. We are going to be mindful of that part of the experience, but this will be an exciting loop for players to engage in. And unlike Battle for the Dark Forest and Rift Crystals, where you use the Rift Crystals to unlock bonuses that give you permanent utility, in this phase for Tribe Rifts, the resources you earn will help you increase your Shadowcorn stats and your Unicorn stats and or genes to directly improve your Unicorn outside of breeding and evolution. So that's going to be the main pull for these loops. So this will be a direct way to get stronger that is more in your control than currently where breeding and evolution is at. So just to summarize again, our roadmap, phase 1 is going to be the minion hatchery, where Shadowcorns passively earn items that they use to craft minions. Act 2 will be the battle for the dark, or phase 2 will be battle for the Dark Forest, where Shadowcorns and Unicorns fight on chain for Rift Crystals, which will be used to access permanent utility and bonuses. Act 3 is where tribes and specializations come online in game, and players could further continue to use the Rift Crystals that they're earning to unlock even more bonuses. And then finally, Act 4 phase 4 is Tribe Rifts, and that's where Shadowcorns invade tribes, sending minions in there to steal resources, and Unicorns could fight back the minions, close the rifts, and earn things that will help them increase directly the stats of their Unicorns. And that will be web and on-chain for Shadowcorn holders and in-game for Unicorn holders. This comes along with a lot of new types of items and resources. A lot of them are going to be on-chain. So husks and minions are 1155s that can be traded on OpenSea. Dark Marks, which is a Shadowcorn currency, we're still in the process of defining. Rift Crystals will be 1155s as well, but because they're consumed in so many different loops, the plan is for them to be scarce. So even though they are sold or can be traded through OpenSea, their scarcity should keep their price pretty high. So it'll be more enticing to actually play a Battle for the Dark Forest than to rely on getting them on OpenSea, but that will still be a choice. Tribe materials are going to be in-game. Skill gems are going to be in-game, but skill gems you will need Rift Crystals for. So there is still that component. And then finally, in the last phase, between Soul Power, when a Unicorn dies, and other awesome stuff that we have to nail down because it's the last feature in the roadmap, there will be more things to earn and collect and make for a more dynamic market of items. And that is pretty much it. I hope you've enjoyed kind of our vision for the war between Shadowcorns and Unicorns, and we look forward to getting this in the game.
Amazing. Oh my god. I mean, we already saw this before in the Shadow Corin sneak peek, but taking a look at all the slides still brings such a rush to me. There's so many things that are going on and so many things that are to follow. So if you all have any questions relating to the content in these slides, please make sure to ask away. And we do have a special thread for that. It's in the Town Hall Bulletin thread, the Crypto Unicorns Town Hall 36. Now it's time for Rice to share the latest updates on Second Party. Hey, Rice.
Hello, hello. All right. Man, so much to update. All right. So as everyone is aware, Ting RPG prototype has launched. Thank you for everyone who have played the prototype, share feedback, strategy, calling out concerns or issues that they discover. We're working on a plan right now for a midterm tuning update for this particular prototype. So we will also roll out the detailed questionnaire on SurveyMonkey pretty soon. Hopefully we can collect a little bit more detail and more measurable feedback from the community. I'm looking forward for anyone who wanted to have a little bit more in-depth discussion with us before the governance vote. I think probably a lot of you have some experience on playing both of the mode at this point. I can see some of the community member have pretty firm idea, but I also wanted to call out that we're building the game mode, really thinking about a sustainable long-term kind of game mode. So I also wanted to make sure that when everyone is playing the current prototype, think about this is only a very, very small part of the game mechanic. So the question for the community will be, what is the potential for these two different game type, and what would be really good to add on top of it or to make it more appealing to wider audiences? So these decisions are going to be in your hand through the governance vote. So while we are enjoying the current gameplay, really for our mid to long-term goal is to really think about what is the depth of this game mode that we're about to make. If anyone have thoughts and opinion, definitely please put into the SurveyMonkey so we'll be able to go through everyone's notes or suggestions. That would really help us here to make the next step of the plan. So that's the call out. This is a prototype. This is not the end game. There's a lot of things that we wanted to do, but we also wanted to leverage this opportunity to have more open conversation and suggestion from the community. So that's Ting RPG prototype. What's next? Oh, so many things. Unicorn Party. We're in the final stage of testing everything that is related to Unicorn Party. Unicorn Party is going to be a more short-term, casual mini game loop that will be also PvP. It will be launched for Android download as well as WebGL, so they will be cross-platform play. One of the major things that we're also going to introduce a new exchange system that you will be able to purchase exchange from RBW to the game hard currency. And as you play any of the match with the hard currency, winners will also get rewards back in the game currency, and you'll be able to exchange back into RBW. So this is one of the highlights for as we're preparing for launch for Unicorn Party. The launch day is loosely going to be somewhere next month. The reason we have not locked in any special dates is because we have a lot of things happening in April, and then also a lot of things is happening in May. So we're trying to make sure that internal team support and also just in general for community that will be able to provide better rollout for each of the product that we're making. What's next? Next is Unigachi. So Unigachi is still in development. we're entering to the phase that the core mechanic is locked in, and we're currently working on a lot of the visual mockup. So there's some UI updates, there's some content that we're integrating into the engine. I'm sure that we'll be soon be able to showcase a little bit more what is going to happen on screen pretty soon to the community. So please stay tuned. Right now, it's just a non-fun part of a lot of the mockup and then composition and discussion. So nothing to see here yet, but we'll be sharing something pretty soon. Next one is Rainbow Rumble. So the last time in Town Hall, I mentioned about that we made a major switch of the developer. Right now, the developer who is working on Rainbow Rumble is Devoted Studio. And I am working on the final written version of all the postmodern on the Rainbow Rumble transition. So I'm aware I have not handed in my homework. So I will be working on that and share with the community very soon. For Rainbow Rumble, we are in the final stage of finalizing all the matchmaking, rule sets, room design, and as well as the game mechanics. So the team is actually entering to building the gameplay part in engine starting next week. So we'll be able to showcase a little bit more from a visual standpoint in the coming month. So stay tuned. And what's next? Oh yeah, the Isman toy and Shadowcorn limited toy. We're in very final stage. Most of the things are getting, most of the unicorns are currently in the very final touch-up stage. The boxes is shipping from the factory to the workshop that where all the Shadowcorn is at. We're also waiting on final testing for all the burn portal for the voucher claim. So the 100 winner plus the 500 egg winner will be soon getting our voucher. So stay tuned. Lots of testing ongoing. That is it for all the external project updates.
My brain is exploding. I'm so excited for the Shadowcorn, like the shipping. It was resolved,
Man.
and right now, oh my gosh, it's just a couple of days. I'm very excited for our Shadowcorn holders who will be receiving those 100 Shadowcorn figures and Shadowcorn eggs. Super excited. Okay, so let's get the question part of this town hall started. We have a 3 questions per person rule. If a question has been answered previously, you will have to ask something else. Any questions related specifically to your account or a Zendesk issue, reach out to us on the mod support channel so the CM team can take care of that for you. There are also questions that are better answered by other specialists in LG, so we might have to get back to your question at the end of the town hall if that's the case. But we will make sure that they get addressed. To ask a question in voice, please press the request to speak button. The button looks like a raised hand. You can queue up at any time. Once you accept your request, you'll see a green bar at the top of your Discord. Click accept to begin speaking. We also have written questions. It's on the Town Hall Bulletin Forum channel on the Town Hall 36 thread. Take note that we prioritize spoken questions over written ones. We can also head on stage and ask any question that you may find. But first up are the anonymous questions. We accept a maximum of 5, and right now we have 3. Ooh, y'all popped up. We had like 0 before this town hall started. Okay, so let's start with those anonymous questions. We have anonymous person number 1 asking, currently, there is not much difference between common, rare, and mythic lands. Is there going to be more utility for mythic lands to differentiate the class more? This kind of similar to our non-anonymous person, Neviolo. Not saying they're the same person, because yeah, they're not. They're also asking that it was promised that there will be more utility for mythic lands some time ago, like some exclusive craft recipe. In the meantime, a lot of exchange quests showed up, thus making mythic lands even less useful. He appreciates the justice brought to mythic unicorns, but can we do the same for our mythic lands? What do you
Yeah,
think, Justin?
yeah, we definitely do plan to have land specific recipes. So recipes that would only appear if your workshop is on a certain land class, with Mythics having access to everything and their own unique recipes as well. It is not yet a feature that we have in game yet, but in our list of things to get in, it's definitely on that list. Um, as new features get on the roadmap, we're always going to continue looking for new ways to add utility. It's just we don't have that feature to have land specific recipes in the game just yet, but it will be coming in a future update.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff. We have a second anonymous person asking, looking at treasury reports, if we look at current spending. There's a question that's best answered on the Ask the Devs. We are going to get somebody to answer this for you, but yeah, I don't think this is in the coverage of the people who are here right now. Next up, we have an anonymous person asking 3 questions for Shadow Coins. Number 1, do you need Shadow Coins when opening Shadow Coin loot boxes? If yes, does the Shadow Coin needed for raids or just minions? Huh? Okay, what can you get through the Shadow Coin loot boxes? And do minions and Shadow Coins invading tribes, will they have some sort of casualties too, besides resources and killing unicorns?
So yeah, first of all, you do need a Shadowcorn to open Shadowcorn loot boxes. That may be open to top tier minions, like we discussed. If when we do pull the trigger and make a top tier minion, kind of the poor man Shadowcorn, again, there'll be some things that it could do that Shadowcorn does, and opening Shadowcorn loot boxes would be one of those things. But that is not going to happen when the Minion Hatchery and Battle for the Dark Forest come online. But when it does happen, it will allow non-Shadowcorn holders to kind of participate on the Shadowcorn side. You just won't get access to the passive rewards or the bonuses that Shadowcorns bring to the Shadowcorn gameplay. In Shadowcorn loot boxes are going to be husks and even chances of minions. Again, it's a way to kind of speed up your minion production so that you can get back into the gameplay in case all your minions get consumed. Minions will die way more frequently than unicorns. They're meant to be a lot more consumable, but they're also much easier to produce than unicorns. So, there's kind of that trade-off. Yeah, so minions will be the big casualty Shadowcorn holders face. Besides, in the case of tribe rifts, them burning rift crystals to open the rift, they would be losing the rift crystals as well because they spent it to open the rift in the first place. So those will be the 2 main casualties for Shadowcorn holders.
So would you say the minions are sort of like stormtroopers and the unicorn is sort of like resistance, something like that?
Yeah, definitely. And there's going to be multiple tiers of minions. So like your tier 1 minions are those foot soldiers, and your top tier minions are kind of like your generals, kind of almost as a Shadowcorn holder. And again, like if we do allow top tier minions to do some of the stuff that Shadowcorns could do, it's going to mainly be on the more active end, just because we need to try and we may need to help boost the population side of Shadowcorns more.
All right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, time check. We do have 15 minutes left. So I'm just going to finish up with these anonymous questions, and then the floor is open for other questions from the community. Okay, we have another anonymous question. Okay, what is the timeline for the Shadowcorn updates? Can you give us a rough timeline? What is the timeline for RPG? It was mentioned by Lois that we will be having an important party around next month. We don't want to assign a specific date for it as we are working on the availability and the resources of the team. Next up, will the pointing system change from the first milestone versus other milestones, like let's say the winter event, or will it just be the same for the entirety of the spring event?
The points are going to be the same through the entirety of the season of advancement. They won't change from milestone to milestone.
All right. We love to hear it. I can hear the community rejoicing. So you can hold on to that, community. All right. So for the timeline for Shadowcorn updates, do we have something?
So the first two phases, the Tribe Hatchery and Battle for the Dark Forest, we're looking at getting those in within the next few months. Those are going to be released shortly. Shortly together. We want the hatchery to be available for a few weeks before Battle for the Dark Forest comes online. So, we don't want a huge gap and just a ton of inflation before Dark Forest comes online. So, you can expect those two features to come out shortly, one right after the other, within the next few months, and then tribes will follow soon after that. Because tribes and specialization is kind of in-game, and hatchery and Battle for the Dark Forest is web and on-chain. There's gonna be work done simultaneously on those two, but we do expect the hatchery and Battle for the Dark Forest to come out first, and then you're probably not gonna see tribe rifts until it'll likely be bleed into next year, given all the other features that we're planning to build. But yeah, that's kind of our current thinking of what the timeline is for these. Once we have more concrete dates, we will definitely share them with you, but that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Definitely, 100%. A quick disclaimer for those of the community, by the way, these dates, these estimates are what they are. They're estimates and they are tentative. And if you do have anything that we're going to be moving across the board in the pipeline, we will make sure to let you guys know and keep your expectations managed. All right, next up. Do we have any other anonymous questions? Nope. Okay, let us move forward to written questions. So our request to speak is open. If you want to say something, want to ask a spoken question, just raise your hand and we will be happy to accommodate. But in the meantime, let's have the written questions. Crazy Crypto is asking, what does the team think about Layer Zero? Is this something that we're going to be using? Is there any chance for crypto unicorns to benefit from Layer Zero? So for context, Layer Zero is a Web3 messaging protocol that connects different blockchains to enable seamless cross-chain communication, according to beingcrypto.com. CoinMarketCap also describes it as it works by deploying a set of smart contracts on each supported chain known as the Layer Zero endpoints. So these link up and allow communication from blockchain to blockchain. What do you guys think about that?
I don't think internally we have a discussion regarding to either implementation or user case at the moment, but we're sure going to look into it. I think, whether it's going to be useful, that also determined by how this can integrating with our current existing system and whether that's going to be a priority to really supporting the community. So that's something we'll put in discussion internally, and if there's any update, we'll share.
All right. Thank you, Lois. Next up, we have a question from MEF6. RBW has almost the lowest daily trading volume from gaming projects. As we said before, daily volume is important to be listed on a centralized exchange. I know LG focuses on game developing, but this the crypto world and marketing is important. What is your plan to increase the daily RBW volume? This is sort of like a marketing question. So, would you like to answer?
Yeah, we can pass that question over to Christina, our CMO, but I will say we have been ramping up our marketing efforts. We should see some results on that in the near future. So definitely progress on the marketing front. We're going to continue finding out what works the best, and we'll adapt and keep reiterating on it.
Definitely. Oh, and to bring attention to how our marketing communicates, we do have a monthly marketing roundup here over at the Team Notes channel. We just had a monthly marketing update for April. Please make sure to take a look at that if you haven't yet, and share any opinions and suggestions over there. We love to hear your opinion and feedback. Okay, next up. Copy is asking, will the minion hatchery require a building slot? Will minions add to the population count? I'm thinking this is the one for stables.
No, well, so the hatchery lives on chain, and so there's not a concept of land or using building on land for this. We are looking at a limited number of um, slots for husk production. So that is to kind of control the husk population and make sure that we don't have too much inflation. When it comes to minion crafting, that's instant. Well, after the blockchain transaction to produce minions, it's instant. You could produce multiple minions in one transaction. The real time gate will be on husk production, and that is something that happens over time when your shadow corn is staked. And there will be a limited number of slots that you can unlock while you upgrade your minion hatchery. But in terms of producing minions, that just takes a blockchain transaction, and there you have them. And this is why, Shadowcorn loot boxes will be kind of like a speed up to getting more minions. If you find yourself low on minions, open up some Shadowcorn loot boxes, get those husks, get those minions, craft the minions immediately, and you're back in the action.
All right, love it. Okay, so the minion hatchery for Shadowcorns defies common logical physics, whatever, of the unicorn land. So it's going to be unchained. That's good news for Shadowcorn holders. Next up, a question from Farmer Ponzi Donner. Hi, my concern with the current and upcoming game loops is that it will divide players between games, and that will mean there won't be enough players for either of them. That will only increase with more loops. Don't you think it would be better to have one or maybe two super well thought out games so that the full player base is directed towards that game? There's nothing worse than wanting to play but having nobody to play with.
I can talk a little bit about it. I think one of the things that Aaron has been talking about is Crypto Unicorn is an ecosystem that we're going to build. And this is why we are building different layers, different hardcore to mid-core to casual game, really from a mid to long-term standpoint that we're seeing, we're leveraging Crypto Unicorn as an IP and building different kind of gameplay. Personally, I'm already seeing that our community, there's some preferences. There are people who really enjoy the farm. There are people who really enjoy, PvP type of gameplay. Our goal is to create a wider option for our player. And this will also tie into a long-term goal that there will be specialization. So we understand that there will be people that only choose to play one part of the game or even just partial of the game. But that is expected because we do want to offer different options. And as our marketing effort also kicking in, this is the end goal is to bring more and more player and everyone find something they really truly passionate about and continuously coming back and play.
Well said. I love it. So yeah, the game loops, they're there, and not everybody has to play every game loop. If you are attracted to a specific game loop, then please keep on playing that game loop. I'm sure that we'll find more members of the Unicorn fam to participate. Next up, another question from Farmer Ponzi Donner. Will jousting still get a rework, so it's going to be used more? What do we think about that?
Actually, did anyone pay attention to the update that just happened like last week? There was so much new updates that we already provided in Joust. I think Jeff and Corbin probably can speak even more detail, but there was a lot of tuning updates and experience has already changed. I wonder if anyone checked out yet.
Yeah, like
Or you
Lois-
guys are just grinding. You guys are just grinding Ting RPG, huh?
Yeah, like Lois said, last week we introduced preseason vouchers, which whenever you get 50 of those, you can exchange those for either Tier 4 hatching or Tier 4 evolution boosters. So extra incentives were added on that front. We also added the max stat for the Dasher Cup tournaments. So that was last week. Internally, we've been looking through additional updates we can make, currently targeted to go along with the 2.1 release, which will also be the Web3 UI UX release. I don't want to dive into the details of those yet, but rest assured we have been reviewing the player feedback and suggestions left throughout preseason to develop these new set of tournaments that will ultimately lead us into the Grand Jousting tournament. So we'll share some details on that here in the very near future.
Yeah, I would
All
definitely want to
right.
see more feedback if there is things that people are looking for. But I also want to remind community that our team is doing quite aggressive game updates. We're doing bi-weekly updates in various different things. So sometimes if you don't see in this update, they might happen in the following ones. So keep the feedback coming. We're watching, and please also keep a lookout for all the updates that we've been providing.
Okay, love to hear it. All right, so for those who haven't taken a look yet, please take a look at the latest game updates. Let's see. So FPD replied that the current update is not enough when still no players. I guess that it will be amazing news that we are going to roll forward another set of updates with the next tuning. We're not going to go into details right now, but we will be revealing them very soon.
Yeah, and one more thing on that note, real quick. Preseason was always designed to be, us figuring out what works for us as a community in terms of jousting tournaments and rewards. So preseason is a learning experience. Let's get the balancing right. Let's make sure everybody is happy. And then from there, once we have traction and jousting increase, we'll roll out the grand jousting tournament. So preseason is definitely the time to get out your feedback and suggestions. So if there's any more, please send those our way, and we'll review and see what we can do on our end to make it happen.
100%. We thank you guys so much always for sharing your feedback with us. We appreciate it. And we make sure that to keep them in mind whenever we implement changes to the ecosystem. All right. Well, wow, that was so quick. So the end of the hour is upon us. And this has to be it for the town hall. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And that would be the last questions. So thanks again for showing up to the town hall. And any questions in the town hall 36 thread after this will be answered by me later on. So that concludes the town hall. We'll see you next week for the bi-weekly town hall number 37 with CEO and co-founder Aaron Feuerschmidt. We appreciate your insights from the previous update and look forward to internalizing all the responses on the current game updates thread. Keep them coming. We will post a recording of this town hall on our socials if you would like to give it a re-listen. Don't forget to share with your friends and fellow Unicorn fans who couldn't make it. And if you have more burning questions, feel free to reach out in our support channels, the Mod Support channel and the Ask the Devs channel. So, do you have any closing remarks and maybe the obligatory uwu, Corbin, Jeff, Royce?
What? Are we doing closing remark or just woo-woo?
You can do closing remarks or you can just do an uwu. Either way.
Yeah, we thank all the community giving us feedback. Everyone is very active and participating. We take it seriously. And if there's something that you felt that has not been responded, please reach out, let us know. We really want to hear from all of your opinion and suggestion and help us to improve our economy. Woo-woo!
Love it. Okay, Corbin, Jeff?
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening in. We have the Web 3 UI UX build coming, and then ultimately we'll roll into Unicorns and Tribes. So a lot of stuff in progress right now. Again, the more feedback y'all can give us, the better. Let's Let's work together to make CU the best it can possibly be. Uwu.
Love it. Jeff, you are not exempt from the uwu. Let's hear it.
Woo woo.
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
thanks for all the feedback you've given on both this plan and other features, and please keep it coming.
All right, amazing. This has been the LG Internal Team's Town Hall, hosted by yours truly, Sparkly Unicorn and Salty Unicorn on Tech. Good morning, good night, and see you in game on Discord and in the forum to Unicorn fam. Ubu.